All right. Hi, everyone. As Aris already mentioned, I'm Elian. I am Belgian. I'm very tired because I'm jet lagged as fuck. So if you see me sleeping somewhere, it's not because you're all boring. It's because I'm just tired. And also, I might have one too many beers yesterday. But that's something else. Yes, I'm an Astro maintainer. I used to work there full time. I don't anymore. So if you want to hire me, you can. I work at with React Brussels, which is also an organization that organizes conferences. React Paris, React, what do we have? React Africa as well, and the BEGS conferences. I organize my own conferences, meetups actually, in Ghent as well, which is in Belgium, small town. If you're ever there, hit me up, then we'll go grab a real Belgian beer. Not the Belgian style beer, because that's not true at all. Cool. If you exactly. If you want to follow me online, you can do that by @AlienCodes. Cool. So the last year, over the past year, I was working on Astro, with Astro, of course, and I gave so much serious talks like accessibility, web performance, use the platform, all of that stuff. And now I'm like, why shouldn't I give a talk that actually fits more to my personality? Like, I'm very joyful, I'm very playful, I'm very entertaining. So let's try a talk like that. So today I'm going to do that. I'm going to talk about the weird web, or how we can make web weird, because there is a lot that we don't know. Ever since I was a little boy, I was fascinated by the web. I can still remember myself sitting in school, behind a computer, like the first ones with internet. No, I'm kidding, I'm not that old. We already had laptops. But it was super nice, and I was just browsing the web, looking for like small, useless websites. Has anybody ever seen this website? Yeah, a couple. Okay, nice. Well, I used to play with this all the time, and I was like, oh, one day I want to have some websites up there. Like, what can we do? Especially, I remember this one. Who remembers this one? I'll show it to you. I have it with me. It's a fish. That's correct. It is eel slap. It's basically just JavaScript that tracks your x coordinate of your mouse. Let me just full screen this for a bit. And that's it. It's super useless, but it's so much fun. See? You're all laughing, and that is what it's about. Let me get that back in presentation mode. So the thing is, when I started coding and playing with JavaScript, I wanted to do some stuff like this. The web is so versatile. We have so many APIs. We have so many ideas that we can use and exploit. So today I'm going to try and build some stuff. It's quite useless, but it's cool. Who uses Arc browser? Have you ever seen that it actually uses personalization in the CSS? It actually injects CSS variables inside your root. So you can totally use them and exploit them. So what I did, this is just a very simple thing. Basically, let me open my code here. I'll put it a little bit bigger. Is that big enough for you all to read? Yeah? Well, actually, it doesn't matter this much. This is just a simple index.html page. And the only thing that I'm going to do in my CSS is I have a body that is just flexing everything, just so that it's pretty. It looks like this. It just says, hey there, I love CityJS. But the fun thing is that if we enable our Arc palette, which is, of course, our browser, we can totally, let me remove some lines and add some lines, add some personalization without any hassle. And now we suddenly have our colors, which is fun. But also, like, if I change my theme color, anyone has a pretty color? Favorite colors? Green? Let's try to find green. You see that everything changes with it? I'm not changing any variable. It's all in the browser. It's super easy, and it's a lot of fun. So we can actually make our web browsing experience way more personalized without any extra hassle. Super easy. Let me just go to the next one. I'll do it like this. Is that big enough? Probably it is. Okay. So that's just CSS. Nothing special, no APIs. But actually, the browser does expose some really cool APIs that we can play with. For instance, so we're going to look at them, obviously. We have the battery status API. Who has ever used that? No one, right? I know. That's a cool thing. It's actually super easy. The battery API, it looks like this. It just exposes your battery on navigator.getBattery. So you can always get the battery status. Now, what can we do with that? Well, what I built is super easy. Basically, here in my app, I'm reading out the battery. I'm setting the battery level. Let me quickly remove that. If we go here in the app, we have a fading page. So the opacity is 1 if your battery is fully loaded, and it goes to 0, and your web page will disappear when you have no battery, which makes sense. So now I have 55%, but also we can attach something to, hey, is your battery charging or is your battery not charging? So we can totally build that with a couple of lines of code. So we already have this, and just at the bottom, I'll do, hey, is my device charging? Then the title, let's set it to green. Is it discharging? Let's set it to red. So now we have a red page. But I have this cable here, which is attached, I hope. And if I plug it in, it's green. Whoa! This is a browser native API. Now, the thing is, it doesn't work everywhere. It doesn't work always. But it is there. It is there in your browser as well. The cool thing is this useful? Yes, of course, there are useful cases. Like, for instance, I'm using WebGPU and I'm having a very, very resource-heavy website. Then it might be useful to know the battery level and maybe below a certain percentage, do not wake up the screen or do not keep the screen locked or maybe just turn off the animations. You can all do that by JavaScript just in your browser. But we also have webHID. Who has ever used webHID? Because that's a very common one. A couple. Oh, okay. Good. So the thing is that's super easy as well. It's just basically HID stands for human interface devices. And what you can do with that, I'll just show it to you. I have one with me. And normally I would take like a controller or something because a PlayStation controller, for instance, is a webHID enabled device. I have an audio interface because that's the most useless thing I have and I will need it later on as well. So I'm just going to plug this in over USB-C, nothing special, and turn it on. So there is a button on the back and you will see that it's on with just a little light. Going to put that here. Now, what can we actually do? Well, we have a script running here. And basically, it's going to request your device. Hey, do we have a webHID enabled device? Yeah. So that's the vendor ID. I already put that in because that's easier. I'm going to take the device, say, hey, the device is connected. And then I'm going to do some stuff with the device. And what I'm going to do with it is pretty easy. I'm just going to open this. So that's the page that I built. Connect the device. We see Vol2. That's called Vol2. Really good stuff. And it's connected. Now it doesn't do anything. But the thing is, once I start pressing buttons, my colors changes. And that's just hardware. It's super, super useless, but it's cool. And you can do that, well, of course, you can use it with real use cases as well. But in this case, it's super useless. Basically what it does is in your JavaScript, it just says, hey, whenever I receive this button, change my RGB value to have yellow or to have green or to have this. And that's super easy. I can show you how that works. So here we have the calculate button on, which is basically a function that I exposed from the register, and the register just says, hey, this is that button that's clicked, this is that button that's clicked. And then we just say, hey, we return 255 for that specific color. So in this case, it's green, red, and blue. Makes sense. We can also just customize it, like just give me a random number in between 0 and 255. So in this case, when we connect it again, you already see that it's paired. Perfect. Now it will give me, I'm pressing always the same button, but it will give me random buttons, well, random colors. A lot of fun, but useless. Cool. So it is already very much and widely used. Is it useful? Of course it is. For instance, imagine you building a game with something like 3JS or something else. You can attach a physical controller, but also like screen readers or maybe even lights. You can do a lot of stuff with it. One of the coolest HID-enabled devices is the old MacBooks. Do you know, like the touch bars? You can interact with those. You cannot connect to physical keyboards, though, because then you would be able to just read out what the user is typing, passwords and such. So that, of course, is disabled by default. webMIDI. Who knows MIDI? A couple of musicians. I love it. So MIDI is basically a very simple protocol that sends out MIDI data, notes. And you can read those. So I brought with me a device, which is a full MIDI thing. And I'm going to plug it in. Oh, yeah. OK, so I'm going to the MIDI in, because I want to manipulate stuff. From the MIDI out. Let me also plug in cables. That's why I needed power. So I'm turning it on. Right. So Very easy as well. You just have the MIDI access, navigator.midi, and you can play with that. So I made this demo. Let me just show you how it looks. Service unavailable. Nice. No worries, that's my fault, that's my fault. Okay, so, oh shit. Did you see that it actually asked me if I wanted to enable MIDI? Yes, I'm going to allow that, because MIDI is a thing. Now you see Volt 2. So I can connect to the Volt 2. And this thing basically puts out random notes. So it's playing now. I'll inspect the thing so you can see what's happening. It's probably not big enough. But you see that actually, once I press a button, it's a physical keyboard here. So I put on 1. You see that it actually puts out pitch 52. And here it will say pitch 67, which is the range of my keyboard. Very small. But now I can use those numbers and actually do stuff with that. I can play sounds. For instance, imagine you have an Elgato Stream Deck, or maybe you have a real keyboard and you want to manipulate something on your web page. You can totally do that with that keyboard. That's fun. But also you can do useless stuff with it. Since we're already working with opacity and colors, let's do it again. So here I have a lot of code, because MIDI is anything but easy. It has a lot of like random numbers, basically detects if your note is on or your note is off. If you want to know how you know that, this is the full register. This is how you read out the bytes and everything else. I'm not going to explain that because that's pretty useless. But basically, I want to know if a note is on or off, which note it is, and what velocity it's playing, what pitch it's playing, and everything else. So here, I'm basically setting the opacity. I'm not sure if you're going to see it very well, but now it's playing. You cannot see it very well here, but actually it's flickering because the notes are going on and off and on. So let me add a background color to it, and we'll just say the pitch is the pitch is the pitch is an HSL color code. And now we have the color code. And when I play 1, well, the lowest one, you see that it's actually not that bright. But if you go to the right, you see that it's way more bright. And I can tone it down with a full physical keyboard, which is a lot of fun. Okay, then let me quickly get my phone so I can remote again. Cool. Also, it's in a lot of browsers. Just, yeah, mobile, you're not probably going to use that. Is it useful? Yes, of course it is. You can build a full audio workstation digitally in the browser. Like, think of Ableton or Logic Pro or something else, FL Studio. Whatever you use, you can do it full in the browser with native support. But it's also kind of addicting. That's my apartment. Never mind. But those are just some of like the browser APIs. There is so much that we don't use too much. Like, why don't we make more fun on the web? Typically, and especially to my work at Astro and my related stuff that I do, I say use the platform. But today I say abuse the platform because it's a lot of fun. And that idea is also like my idea of open source. Check people's stuff out, have fun on the web, get inspired, build something. Because maybe, and just maybe, when you share something, you might have a smile on someone else's face. And isn't that the whole thing in life? Giving smiles to other people? I mean, I love it. And don't forget, like, we're programmers, we're creative individuals. We can create solutions to problems, but we can also create our own dreams inside of our browser. And then I guess what I guess what I'm saying is that if we have to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, then it better be fun. We better make our job fun. So, in short, please, everyone, keep the web weird. I love it. Everyone, I'm Elian. I love the weird web. Thank you so much.